Welcome to the Believe and Achieve podcast with Lyndon Longhorne and Jay Manners. You will learn many hints and tips throughout this program. It will be a process which will be ongoing and will inspire you throughout your career. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Believe and Achieve podcast with your hosts Jay Manners and Lyndon Longhorne. Say hello, Lyndon.
Welcome, wherever you're from in the world. Welcome to a new podcast.
I know.
Welcome back to the channel. God.
6th episode, absolutely flown over. And last week's episode was really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it, having Molly Renshaw on and listening about her experiences through swimming, how she got involved, and obviously with her preparations heading off to Tokyo.
Yeah, it was... It's one of those, it's like now you think, geez, how do you top that off? Like, following on from the next podcast. So it's weird because, like, we've had two special guests on now. We've had, like, Jay and now we've had Molly. And, like, they're both really interesting stories. And at the same time, when you hear them, you're like, yeah, you might think, oh, well, we're talking to them. And, like, yes, we might see them at competitions and stuff like that. But when you hear the story and the full background, it gives you goosebumps. And, like, the hairs on my arms were just like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
What on earth are you doing? Like, this is mental.
Definitely goosebump moments.
100%. Like, it just gives you that. Like, if you feel like you've lost motivation, that just goes, boom, right. That's a bit of a kick up the ass to just get you back into it, to be honest with you. So
yeah, it definitely spurs you on, and they're both exceptional athletes in the sport and like great ambassadors for the sport. And obviously, with being them exceptional athletes and ambassadors, we've got a bit of a fun episode today. We're going to be talking about competitions.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, like, we're going to be talking about, like, throughout our swimming careers so far, about, like, different competitions we've been to. If we have any, like, do you have any superstitions before a race? Or, like, do you have, like, a pre-race regime?
I've got, like, couple of things in like that I like to do, and a couple of things like for certain races, like main event, I always have like a specific like route, like not as much a routine, but like something that I eat, but like that we'll get to that when it comes to it. So
yeah, and obviously, like, I think going through like the years of competition, you sort of pick up like different habits of what you do, like for a pre-race. Like, I know, like, if you watch like other people swim, Michael Phelps always done that like signature arm slap on the blocks, didn't he? Like, that was always his pre-race routine. I know there's a few others who wear like Ugg boots, like for a race, like because it's a lucky charm or something like that, which is really cool.
What's the other one? Oh, dry robes. Like, I know a lot of people wear like dry robes, and if people that are listening or watching today, if you don't know what a dry robe is, it's like a big coat with like bit like fluffy material in. So like, say for example, you're doing like open water, or you're doing a big competition like that, and you've got ages to wait around, or you do your warm up and you get out and you just want to keep warm and not throw your clothes on. So you might have like your clothes with you, but not like a spare set of clothes to get changed in. And if they get wet, you're kind of like, well, I've got to go back to my hotel in wet clothes. Whereas having there's not worse than going back to a hotel in wet clothes. It's like having a dry robe. It gives you that like warmth to just go behind the block, and you might have a pair of shorts in your bag and you just want to put your shorts on and you want to just zip up the coat and keep yourself nice and warm. Then when you get behind the blocks, you know, like, your body's still warm. You're not going to go cold. I mean, I've had a few experiences where I've gone cold before a race, and you go behind the block and you're like, shit, like, what am I doing? It's that rabbit caught in headlights moment type of thing. So
it's so key to have like your body temperature up before a race, especially before a final, because I don't have a dry robe, but it is like a massive coat that I have, and I always wear that before a final. And like, I don't wear it. I will usually wear it after I've done like my activation. Activation, like your dry land activation. As soon as I've done that, then I put my big coat on. So like, I'm already sweating, but like, I'm sweating more because it is so key for swimming to keep that body temperature up before you get in that pool. But yeah, I've always done that before a final.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to jump in the water, and especially if you've been to Sheffield before and it's freezing and you dive in, you're like, it's like a big gasp of air that you take in. You just think, just get on with it, just go. Because the more you stand around, your body starts to freeze up. And I mean, it's nice, like when you're behind the box, you're nice and warm, and you get that shock when you go in the water because you just automatically like boom straight into it. Whereas sometimes it can be quite awkward. I know, like I've had a few instances where I get in and I'm like, everything's just completely gone, and I'm like, what was the point of even doing a warm up? So it's all about getting that balance right. It's like a set of scales. If one's higher than the other, it's not going to work. But hey,
yeah. And I think like when we're talking about like our competitions and stuff like that, what like our favorite meets were and everything like that, and also when discussing about like our pre-race stuff, it's all very individual based. And like, I don't know about you, but like I'm still like trying to finalize what my pre-race strategy is for a competition. I'm 21 years old now, and like I'm still learning to figure that out. But I feel like we're getting closer and closer to figuring it out. Obviously, it's difficult for the past 18 months because we haven't. Well, I haven't competed, but yeah,
yeah, I know it's one of those like. I mean, I've been in the sport now for like over 10 years, and it's scary to think like when I started after Beijing, and now obviously been to like 2 Olympic trials, and then obviously went to a third one this year, and obviously every race what you go to, I mean, we did have a race routine in place, and it's kind of like, yeah, this works, and then it got changed, and then that works, and then it got changed again, and then had a 2-year break and come back, and now it's just a case of, I think because like obviously I've gone down a category, it's now working out what the best routine is. And I mean, I love doing like all the activation stuff. So like give me a med ball and stuff like that, and I'll absolutely like smash that out. Pool warm up, I'll still smash it, but it's trying to get that balance of like not overdoing it and then not underdoing it as well. You need to get the optimal balance and working out whether you're getting out like 45 minutes before, half an hour before, and then if you do something in between. So it can be like everyone's individual basis, and it like what works for you, Jay, might not work for me. Yeah. What works for me won't work for you. So, but yeah,
100%. And it's like you say, it's just so individual, like this sport. But I think that's what makes it more fun, isn't it? Like, there's so many different ways you can go into a race, and like what you tactically think, what you technically do in the race. It's just, I think that's what makes the sport so much more fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of fun, we all start from somewhere. So can you remember what your first ever swimming competition was?
So my first competition, so that would have been back in like back end of 2008, going into 2009. And like bearing in mind, like when you first come into it, you're like, oh, this is all new to us. Like, what am I doing? And you like you don't know what to expect, and you go from like training once a week, 2, 3 times a week, and you think, oh, it's a doddle this like I can get along with this all day long. And then when I went to my first competitions, it was in Middlesbrough, and Middlesbrough is such a good pool. Like, never forget it.
Very fast pool.
Yeah, and it's weird because I've not been back there since, to be honest with you. It's like been a good few years since I was actually at Middlesbrough competing. And I know like there's a lot of like like fast competitions that go there, like whether it's just like sprints or relays or even like you might get like a few disability competitions there because it's easy to put on. My first competition, I'll never forget it because I only did 25s. I did the odd 50 and stuff like that, but it was just like a splash and dash. And obviously, when you're doing a 25 meter, you start at the other end rather than starting at the same end because you need to finish it like where the other guys are going to start at.
Yeah.
So I got in, and bearing in mind, like now I dive occasionally, and I've learned to like just start in the water because it is quicker. But for me, I started in the water, and I seen a few people getting in the water and a few people on the blocks, and I was looking around like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is the like different people doing different stuff? And I'd started and I pushed off, and obviously I got to, I think it was like about 10, 15 meters. Bearing in mind, this is only a 25-meter sprint. And I stopped and I looked and I was like, I'm doing the wrong stroke. And then my coach was at the side and I was like, I'm doing the wrong stroke. And she's like, no, you're not. Just go. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And then I got to the end and she was like, it's freestyle. You can do what you want. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And I'll leave it there then.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, like, it always sticks in my head, because I'm like, obviously you never do it since
Oh
then.
yeah.
Like the first one that you do, you just think,
You'll never forget it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's one more, like, the biggest moment what I laugh about, and I always look back on, because you think, from where my swimming career has been to now, it's like, whoa, that little 12-year-old, like 11-year-old kid that's just getting in the pool to now a 25-year-old. You're like, yeah, a bit of growing up that's happened.
Yeah, definitely.
What about yours? How was your first competition? Can you remember it or not?
I believe it was a junior league. Was my first one, because I remember I was 9 years old and I was like selected to go in the junior league.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know what junior league is, it's for 8/9 to 12-year-olds, and it's very much a team-based league. Swimming is normally seen as like quite an individual sport, but like junior league is very much catered towards team, and I think it's such a great idea, especially for like younger kids in the sport, because like my junior league career was so fun. Like I enjoyed every competition that we had, because we had like, I believe it was 3 rounds, and then you had like the final to see whether you get promoted or relegated in a division.
Yeah.
So obviously I had 3 or 4 years in junior league, and like if you didn't come out of that pool with having a sore throat, or your voice is gone, or your ears are like ringing, then you definitely haven't been in that competition before, because it was loud, so loud in junior league. And it's just very like, it's like what you said, it's like 25s, 50s, it's like a very splash and dash orientated competition. So I think it's like 9 to 10s do like 25-meter races, 11 and 12s do 50s, like one of each stroke, and then there's like just a bunch of relays.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was my last year. It's not my first competition, but like going through junior league, I remember my last year of junior league when I was about 12. I remember it very well, because at the end of the competition you have a cannon, like an 8x50 cannon. So you have a boy and a girl through each age group.
Right.
And it was at Time Off Pool.
Yeah.
So obviously that pool, like the stands are quite big, aren't they? Like it's quite a big spectator.
I don't think I've been to Time Off Pool.
Have you not?
I might have, but like years ago, to be honest.
It has diving boards. Like it has diving boards at the competition end, and because it's like it's like 3 meters deep at the deep end, and then it just like has like a massive slant upwards, and then it goes shallower there.
No, I don't think I've been to that one. If I'm completely honest with you, that might be one of the pools that I've not attended.
Right. Well, like the spectator view was massive, so like it was like you couldn't see a space. Like it was jam packed, and obviously, like I said, like the atmosphere was just amazing. And this was in we were in Division 2, and we were, I think it was a tight score between us and another team. And obviously in the cannon you get double points as well. So like this cannon determined whether you like which team got promoted to Division 1. And I was the last leg of the cannon, so you can feel the amount of pressure that I had on my shoulders. But like it was still like a lot of fun. It wasn't like huge pressure, but I'm just one of these people that like puts pressure on myself.
Don't like, know it.
Yeah. But like our younger lot was so fast, and like they got us the lead, and then it just gives you that adrenaline rush knowing that you're in the front. And then it was just one lap down it was 8x25, not 8x50. So obviously it's very like splash and dash. And I remember touching the wall, and we finished first. And like, do you know how you have like obviously you cap over your ears?
Yeah.
You could hit, like, it felt like I didn't have a cap on, because you could just hear everyone screaming.
Yeah. There's no better feeling than when you have your cap on and you're zoned out and you just can't hear anything, and then as soon as you take it off, it's like, whoa, like the goosebumps just kick in straight away, to be honest with you. So
and I celebrated like there was no tomorrow, like because we got promoted, and that was like our last year in junior league. and it was nice to finish like promoting our team to Division 1. But yeah, like I missed Junior League. Like it was so fun. The atmosphere was just incredible. Is there a competition for you that the atmosphere was just absolutely amazing, or that you remember so far?
I think for me, like I've been to quite a few competitions over the years, and there's like a lot of them which like stand out in your head, and it's like you'd never like it's an atmosphere which is absolutely amazing. The biggest one for me that I witnessed was when I did Olympic trials in 2012, and that was at London at the Olympic Park. Now, bearing in mind, like I'd had a good build up going into it, and like I'd had a couple of injuries that year and stuff like that, and it was just kind of like just go and do what you can possibly do. And like I'd set my standards really high to actually make the team in 2012. And I was like, if it happens, it happens. But with 4 years worth of training, you can't really expect much to happen, really, because it takes like over 10,000 hours to actually get to an elite level. Now, some people do it quicker, some people don't, and it's everyone's body's different, and it's how you react to that. But for me, when I went to that competition, it was like the last day, and then obviously I did the 150 medley. Now, for anyone that knows medley events, so it's individual medley, you do one of each stroke. So you'll do one, like 50 meters butterfly, 50 meters backstroke, 50 breast, and 50 free. Whereas the 150, we miss out the fly. So that obviously anyone who's in a lower category, so like 3s, 4s, 2s, like they'll all do the 150 medley. Anyone who's a 5 up will go and do like a 2 and a 4. So at this point, I went out, completely zoned out, had my hat on, and I was just so like focused. And everyone was there who was like seeing, because it was AB and para guys that were together, and it was like, right, crowds will probably be empty because it's last race. To be honest, who's gonna stay for last race? I know, like a lot of the time, it's like if your team's there, you like stay at the end, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And when I went out, everywhere just erupted, and I was like, shit, like what on earth is going on here? And I got behind the block, and like I took my top off, and I was just like the goosebumps and the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up, and I kind of just froze for a minute, and I was like, I'm the only guy in this race because I have no other class in the UK that'll like do the medley event with us.
Yeah,
because it's very, very hard to find someone in the lower classes that'll actually go and do the 150 medley. And I was like, I just need to get in and go for it. And then I got in. Now, I normally, anytime I do like a water start, I'll get in and I'll go straight under. And I know I've had a lot of lifeguards panic before, thinking, shit, he's drowned. And I'm like, I haven't.
You still do that to this day, don't you?
Yeah, I still do it all the time. Like I do that, and I do
that's
like
a pre-race routine.
Yeah, or a handstand on the block if I'm diving. But I know it's like just changing things around. And I literally put my hands on the block, and all I heard was like a big like roar, like a big cheer for my name.
Yeah,
and I was just like, and I was like, just go for it. Just whatever happens, happens. And then I broke my own British record because I already broke it in Sheffield beforehand. And then obviously I broke it at London again. I think I broke it like by 10, 15 seconds at that point. And I was like absolutely amazing. I got out at the end and I was about to be sick. Like obviously physically sick. And not as though I'd ate something and I was like, I feel terrible here. But then I just literally, I was like, just chuck me in to the diving pit, because you have like the main 50 meter pool, and then behind it you had the dive pit where you swam down. And I was like, just get in, I don't care, just get in and swim down. But yeah, that for me was like one of the moments to this day that I will never forget. And like obviously being a torchbearer that year, it just made everything so much better.
That's amazing. And especially from going from stopping in the middle of a 25-meter race to 3 years later competing at Paralympic trials at the London Olympic pool, like it's crazy. And especially with like your like race 150 medley, like as you said, it's very rare that someone else does it with you, so it must be like really hard for you to just swim or race by yourself. Like how do you find it?
The first time I did it, like it was the most scariest thing that I've ever done, because like you're in control of that race. And obviously the first time you do it, you're like, what do I do? Like I don't know what I'm doing here. And then obviously now I've done it a few more times. Every race that I go into is like you just swim it because that's your race. And I know, like, obviously when you like yourself races or anyone in the club races, like you've got people to go against, and it's like you've got that person to like pace yourself on a 200 or a 400, 800, 15, whatever it is. You've always got someone next to you to pace. But whereas when you do an event by yourself, you've kind of got to train your brain to go, right, okay, this is what I need to do for this one. This is how many strokes I need to do. And then for the breaststroke and the freestyle, it's just like whatever's left, really.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you've just got to build it up throughout. And the key is not to go out too hard and just completely like kill yourself, to be honest. But do you ever find a race where you get into and you just like go for it? Or do you tend to like pace yourself against the rest of the field?
See, I think it depends on the race. And obviously, like, again, it's what I mentioned before. This what makes swimming so much more fun is like how people tactically do races. A couple of years ago, a few years ago, I used to like take the 400 IM out really hard on the fly. I would go out like a PB pace at the first 100.
Yeah.
But like, I think like the block of work that I'd done when I was like younger and stuff, and like how much training I was doing, like I was able to do that, but my backstroke was always very weak coming off the fly, and like I sort of had nothing left for the free.
Mm-hmm.
But like with discussing with my coach now of like how to tactically swim it, we've decided to swim it the fly as if like you're taking the piss, to be honest, like just make it feel as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like mentally, like our coach told me to think of it like as a 300 IM rather than a 400. And like mentally for me, that works so much better because when I was younger, when doing a 400 IM, I would always stress about the fly because it's like the hardest stroke, like really. And obviously it's first and then it's trying to hang on after it. But like thinking of it as like a 300, mentally it works a lot better because like it's short, like you mentally think it's shorter. And since doing that, like my times have dropped so much of doing it tactically like that because it was at a meet at Northampton, December 2019. So it was like relatively quite recent in one of like the last competitions we've done. I went out first 100 at like going from my previous best. I went out 3 seconds slow on the fly.
Yeah.
But ended up finishing the race 3 seconds faster than my PB.
Oh wow, okay.
Just for simply going out like relatively quite slow on the fly. Yeah. I remember like before I went down to like Marshall and before the race, he was like, on this fly, I want you to take the piss. Like feel as though like you're going really, really slow. Obviously, like with fly, you can't really go slow because it's such a hard stroke. It's impossible to like, if you go slow, it ruins your technique, doesn't it?
It's getting the timing of like the kick, the arms, getting your head down and getting your arms back over. And as soon as one goes, the whole stroke tends to like just fall to bits. And everyone's always like, there's no way you can do fly slow unless you're doing a drill or something like that. Fair enough. But if you try training that slow, like you just know that either your dolphin kick's going to be off or your core strength's not going to be able to get you back up and get your arms over and your head down.
And then me back breast and my free split were the fastest splits I've ever done in a 400 IM before, hence why like I had a big drop from it. Mm-hmm. And I was just so surprised. And then when like my coach was telling me my splits and I was like, did I really go out in 1:04? Like, and then it managed to take off 3 seconds. And that was the meet where I got my Olympic trials time as well. So I just felt like I had so much more energy towards the back end where I've never felt it before. And that's what made the difference. And I actually won the 400 IM at that meet. So, and
I think
normally in that type of competition, it's like September to December is like short course season for us. And like December we had long course, obviously, because it was like Olympic trials, like Olympic year and stuff like that. So they put a long course meet on December, and it's quite hard to PB long course for your first one, because short course and long course, you can probably agree that it's pretty much two completely different sports, really.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty hard to PB or swim really fast long course for your first one, but like managed to PB and smash my PB, so it was good.
So do you prefer do long course competitions, or would you prefer to do it short course?
I think like from September to December, I enjoy short course.
Yeah.
Especially Scottish Nationals in December, like in Edinburgh. That's such a fast meet. Like it's probably one of my favourite meets ever. Have you ever done Scottish National, like short course Edinburgh? It's such a fast meet. I don't know anyone who hasn't at least PB'd one race at that competition. Like it's so rapid. And I think like once you've done the short course, you're ready for long course. And obviously long course is it is the pinnacle. Like it is what gets you into these championship meets. So I feel like I really enjoy short course, but I think if you have a good short course block, it helps prepare for your long course. And I would say I'll probably enjoy long course more, because it's it's for your championship meets. It's where the real gains are made.
Yeah, you feel like like for me, like I know, like short course is kind of like just a bit of a fun, like a bit of fun, really. And just get yourself around it. And as soon as you come to the long course, and you're like, you get to halfway, and you just look, and you're like, "Yep, I've got another 25 to go."
It's game time, isn't it?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like long courses, I prefer it, but I know, like, obviously everyone's different and everyone's got a preferred pool that they like to go to. So
do you go quicker long course than you do short course?
I prefer long course because of the turns. So obviously I don't have a quick turn.
Yeah.
Like freestyle, like with the tumble turn and stuff like that. Whereas I do like a spin, so I literally have to touch and go. So it's like trying to work out which way is better. So at the minute, I currently go in with my hand high. So like the wall might be here, and I come in with like my hand right up here, which is no need to do that. So it's trying to just get my hand in as low as possible to then like spin and go again. Yeah. But I know, like, if I do that, like, I don't have to breathe. I can just touch and spin around and go again. So it's kind of like, yes, I am quicker long course, but my times don't show that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Do you have much of a short course season, or like, because I know a lot of like power events are very strictly long course?
Yeah. For me, I like to get the odd like short course one in, and it just gets you set up and gets your race mode activated. Because when you've had that off season, and you kind of come back and you think to yourself, I just need something to get us going again. Now you don't want to throw yourself straight into a long course meet and be like, why did I do this? Because like it's just not the way to go. And like whether you do it in house or you go into like Newcastle or you go to Durham or anywhere like that, and you just think, right, it's just a 25 meter. Like you've only got a 50-meter sprint, or you've got 100, 200, whichever you've got to do. As soon as you get back into it, you're like, okay, yeah, it's kind of like building this back up. But I try to get like a good handful of competitions in short course to build us up going into long course season. I know obviously COVID hasn't helped that with everything what's happened this year, and it's weird when you've not done any like, yes, you do short course training all the time and you get the odd long course one in, but at the same time when you're going straight from no short course competitions into a long course meet, you just think
it's horrific.
It's back to front. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head there. It's like, because obviously we have a break after summer for like about 4 weeks, and it is so difficult to go straight a long course after that. And like you need short course to build that foundation up so you're ready and prepared for long course. Like it does make a massive help. And it's like, say for example, if your main event was a 200 free, like you would need to do like 400 free short course in order to have a good 200 free long course.
Yeah.
Because it's 200 free short course compared to 200 free long course. It's completely different. Like, even though it's the same event, it's two completely different races. And you need, if you want to have that good foundation, that good aerobic block in your system for the 200 free long course, you need that 400 free short course because it helps.
I think as well, like when you do short course, and I know this is the benefit what I've found, it's like you know what pace you need to do short course.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I know what I'm doing for 25, I know what I'm doing for this 50, and you've got the turn. But like as soon as you go into long course, you kind of go, right, okay, I've got another 25 that I need to build up onto because you've not got the turn.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get past that 25, you feel like your rhythms kind of got into it. And I know this is what I'm still learning at the minute. And everyone probably be like, what do you mean you're still learning? Within swimming, there is no day that you go into the pool and it's like, you don't learn something new. You're 100%. Always going to learn something new all the time. And it's like, yes, I've been in the sport for over 10 years, which I've already highlighted, but I'm still learning to this day of how to race like a 200 or 100. Because you might go out, you might think, yes, I feel amazing going out first 50. You come back second 50 and you're like, shit, I am dead.
Yeah.
Just like, you can see your arms slowly dropping. You like, I breathe every two. Like as soon as I'm dead, like I start breathing every two, and it's like, nah, that's it. It's gone. Like so, it's just you've just got to build that aerobic fitness up and get yourself back into it, and that's why the short course meets do help to then take you past New Year and into the long course season we go. So
definitely, and like I've mentioned it twice now, but it is what makes swimming so much more fun. It's like you have so many different scenarios, so many different tactics. It's like it's just what makes the sport so great. And obviously, like with going to competitions, like we sort of touched upon it, like you sometimes do have these little superstitions or like your little pre-race routines, like disregarding like your like activation, your pool priming or whatever. Is there like a pre-race routine that you stick to? Whether do you specifically hit one arm so many times, or I know you mentioned it that you go right at the bottom of the pool for your backstroke, but have you got anything else?
So obviously you've touched upon it there. Like my backstroke, if I start on backstroke, then I'll jump in and I'll go at the bottom of the pool and like compose myself, and then come back up. But I come back up with my arms like straight, so it's like someone's coming like. It's like a god's coming out the water type of thing. And everyone's like, loads of people are always like, is he going to come up? Like, is he drowning or what? And like, I just take a few minutes because I kind of feel like it's a way of like opening my airways up, and it like it gets you way to like hold your breath and you know what you're doing after that and you can compose it. But I tend to look down the other end of the pool. So if I'm starting on like from the blocks, like going breaststroke, freestyle or butterfly, I'll always like put my hat and goggles on and I'll like just visualize down the end of the pool and be like, two lengths, you've got this to do, go out at this pace, bring it home. That's all you need to do. The other thing what I do as well, every race I have a certain amount of jelly babies what I take, which is really weird, and everyone will be like, what? But like, say for my medley or like 53, I'll have like 4 or 5. If I'm doing like breaststroke, I'll only have 2. And it's like, why is it different? But I don't know. It's just one of those where I've always done it.
How long have you always done that? How long has it been?
So I did it at the past few competitions that I've been to this year, like in the bubble. And then obviously, like when I came back, it was kind of something what I was trialing to see. Like obviously, this is when I do warm up. Like I need to do med ball stuff. Like even going behind the blocks. Like before I go around, I'll always do like 5 slams and 5 like single arm throws just to get my body pumping really. But I've done it even when I was at like trials in 2016, and it's one of those where it's like always stuck with us, which is really, really odd. But yeah, like everyone's rituals are different, but I always have to make sure that I have. It's weird. Like I have to have two caps, 2 pairs of goggles, and like I always carry 2 race suits because you never know. And I did. If I went to a competition and I only had 1 race suit, I'd be like, I've completely screwed this over, and I'd be stressed to death.
Yeah.
Whereas you carry them back up, you've got to always carry back up throughout, and like having enough juice and stuff like that. Never ever drank water at a competition either. I've always drank juice.
Really?
Yeah. I've never swam well off water at all.
That's
I don't know
so
if that's
interesting.
just in my head, but every race that I do, it's always orange juice or blackcurrant, nothing else.
Wow.
Weird. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I can only drink water through training and competitions.
And yeah.
There was a period of time where I would only drink Evian water on a competition, but now I just drink any water. But
so you don't go for the typical council pop then?
No. And look, like, it just sometimes gives me a bad stomach if I drink juice if I'm training or in a competition. Like I just have to drink. I just feel like drinking water. It's just nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a bit of like a pre-race routine ritual. Like whenever someone is like the heat before, whenever someone is like last coming off a wall for the last 50 meters, that's when I'll put my goggles on.
All right. Okay.
And once the kid is finished in my lane, like the heat before, I would splash my suit, because I've always splashed my suit so it like sinks in to your body, because sometimes I've dove in when I haven't splashed my suit, it like sort of blows up a little bit, like it gets a bit airy for me.
Okay.
It happens for me, so that's why I've always splashed my race suit before I actually dive in.
Yeah.
And then I stand up, I do a couple of like windmill arm spins, like with like both arms, and
flight 634 is coming in for London.
Literally, and then I do do you know what like Michael Phelps does like on the block and does them arm slaps?
Slaps it round, yeah.
I do that standing up, like vertically.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like after I do my arm swings, and then I shake both my legs, and then I get on the block, and that's it. So
you don't have any like eating habits or anything like that you do beforehand?
Nah, I don't like to drink just before I'm about to get into my race.
Right. Okay.
Like I know some people like to have like a drink just before they're about to race.
Yeah.
I sometimes think to myself, if I drink before I race, it's just going to come back up.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Or like it hasn't gone down. Like I'm just scared in case like it hasn't got it when it goes down. Like sometimes when you drink something, it goes down the wrong way and you get like a bit of a coughing fit. Like
yeah.
It's just something like that. Like I don't like. But if I do need a drink and my throat's dry, I will have a drink, obviously. But But yeah, that's my usual ritual. But I need to start to get used to it again, because I haven't bloody raced in 18 months.
I was gonna say you've not raced for ages.
Like
so apart from
level
like,
X
in-house, yeah, like level X we've done in stuff like, but I mean like level X is just like, yes, it's a bit of fun, it's a bit of in-house stuff to get us back into that routine, because it's like this year's kind of messed us all up with being like going from short course into long course, but now it's like you've gone long course back into short course and then back into long course again.
Yeah, it's been very mental.
Yeah, like it just kind of breaks your routine, and you're like, whoa, like why am I starting long course now when I should be starting my short course season?
Yeah.
So it's going to be weird, like when everything comes down to an end and like you get a summer break and stuff like that. And I know like whether we do get a summer break or whatever happens, it's kind of like we've got to build up on it and get back into it. But
definitely, and it's amazing news that that there is a festival swim and meet at the end of July. Can't wait to like get that competition feeling back again. I don't think there's going to be any spectators, but it'll be nice to just race people from different clubs again, and just sort of getting that like racing mentality again. Obviously with having like this massive break from competitions, I know that you've been racing through like through COVID bubbles and stuff like that. And I know the Glasgow meet, you've done like the Tokyo twist. So like you've done the heats on the night, finals on the morning. Before COVID happened, we'd done that in Ireland in February 2020. So over, like, I know we touched upon it with Molly in the last episode, but like overall, like how did you find that?
I'm not gonna lie, that completely messed me over. Like
Yeah.
I'll never. When I went to the pool, I think it was the Friday morning that I went to the pool. It was the Thursday morning. It was one of the mornings I went, and I was like, right, what am I doing this morning? And he was like, you've got the final. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I've got the final. Like, what am I doing? And it's just one of those, like by the time I got to Saturday night, like by the time I was resting through the day, my arms were just absolutely dead. And it's weird because you're not used to going. Like, say for example, like you might do your 200 freestyle on a night, your 200 freestyle back in the morning, then you might go and do a 400 in that on the next afternoon.
Yeah.
But or you might like do a 400 medley. So you might have like two different events with 5 different strokes at a different pace. So it was kind of like getting your head around that. But for me, like, don't get me wrong, it was great to do the experience of having that.
Yeah.
But like, nah.
It's very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a good experience to do it. And I would say to anyone, if you get the experience, just do it. Like, it is one of those that I feel like for me, it pushed me to a different level of being like for a different level of fitness. And I know, obviously, like I've highlighted, Glasgow wasn't a tailored event for me. Like I was going off the back of that from like a heavy block of training, and I wasn't really rested, and it was just like a training weekend.
Yeah.
And yes, we still got some good times, but at the same time, it's like we just need to push on. And I got back in straight away on the Monday morning, took the Monday night off. But like, yeah, it's one of those, for a fitness point of view, it is really good.
Definitely, and that's what I found with like when we done it in Ireland as well, because we flew early hours of the Thursday morning and we were racing on the Thursday night.
Yeah.
So, but it's like learning them situations in case like something does happen at like a major competition, and then handle yourself that.
Yeah, I think the other thing is as well, like you've highlighted, like you travelled on the Thursday and it's racing on that Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's kind of planning ahead as well in case like your flight's delayed or your bus is delayed or something like that, and you've got to go and step up. You know straight away you're resting throughout the day by travelling, and you might think, yeah, I feel all right, but don't get me wrong, the travel takes it out of you.
Oh,
you might
100%.
need that extra warm up just to blow away the cobwebs and to try and ease off. And then it's like, you know, you've got to do everything right from the moment you're traveling to the moment you're racing that night. If one thing is out of place, it's like that, like the difference of actually getting into a final or a semi-final that could cost you that. So
yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
And
it's like what you said about like with the obviously heats on a night, finals on the morning, and what Molly touched upon about like doing a 200 breasts on the morning and then having the 100 on the night or vice versa. In Ireland, I had a pretty intense schedule because I remember doing 400 IM and 200 breast on the Friday night, then had both finals in the morning, and then had 200 IM and 50 breast on the night. So like that Saturday was a tough day.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that competition, it hurts a lot more than like a normal competition.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, you're not racing it, like you're still racing the same amount, but like, I don't know, you just feel so much more fatigued.
Yeah.
Doing it like that way.
I think it's your body's trying to get used to something different. And I know, like, obviously, yes, we train morning, night, or sometimes morning, night, then back into a morning, which is fair enough. But like, I think the other thing to consider with that is when you're going to do a heat on a night, depending on what time you finish, you could be finished at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then you're getting back to your hotel, then you're eating, then you're going straight to bed, and then you back up the next morning, like say 7 o'clock again, and you're like, gee, I feel like I've not had a rest type of thing to recover enough. Whereas when you're doing, say for example, you go to Sheffield, you might be finished by like 10 o'clock. Your hotel's like 2 minutes up the road. So you know you can get straight back to your hotel and you can rest and you're back there on the night, but you're not back till like 4 o'clock. Yeah. So you've got that gap between 10 and 4. So you know you can just completely switch off. Whereas I know when I did Glasgow, I don't know if Ireland was the same. Like you get back to your hotel at like 8, 8:30.
Yeah.
You'd have your food and it's like a 25-minute drive there, like to and from. So bearing in mind, you've got the travel every day. and you've got like everything else to think of, like your full preparation can completely change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So,
but like you say, it was so much fun, and it was like an amazing experience to like have that like Tokyo Twist vibe.
Tokyo Twist rather than Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, but yeah, that's. I think one competition called it a Tokyo Twist, and it's stuck by me ever since. But for me, I like responded quite well to it because I still managed to find a way to go fast on the morning, and I feel like them sort of competitions are so key. Like if you go to a major meet, it's learning how to swim fast on the morning in order to get into them semi-finals or finals. Because I feel like a lot of people sometimes get too comfortable on a morning, thinking that they're going to make it, but like you still need to learn how to swim fast on a morning.
Yeah,
help prepare you for the evening.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. Like, there's no way that you can go from doing a heat on a night and thinking, oh yeah, it's just a heat. Like I can breeze through it. You can't. It's practically not possible. You've got to treat the heat like a semi, then you've got to or like a final. Every race is you've just got to give 110% to actually get it done
and find a way faster for the final.
Yeah, you might think that that's your fastest you've ever gone. Then in the semis, you've got to go even faster than that. And then your finals, you're like, this needs to be like the fastest. My all-time fastest swim I have ever done in my life. So
obviously, like some situations, like that's not always the case. Obviously, because like in a final, you do find that amount of pressure. But like if you get in that mentality, then why can't you do it? And it's always trying to find that way of getting faster.
I know, like when I've done races before, like say for example, like a race on the morning or the night, it might be a case of like streaming it on YouTube and you can rewatch it back and think, right, okay, this is where I went wrong in the morning. Even though it was a quick time, and you can go, right, I need to improve that in a night. And you're thinking, how are you going to improve that in the space of like 12 hours to get it right again?
Yeah.
And it's weird because your brain kind of goes, right, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to try it in warm up. If it doesn't happen in warm up, you just go for it in the race. And that's the best way to actually go about it.
Definitely. Well, I think we've covered everything there is about competitions, and hopefully now that things are starting to ease, thankfully, and everything's starting to like somewhat get normal. Yeah. Like there will be more competitions, whether they'll probably look very, very different in the future. Well, for the time being, with being no spectators and stuff like that. Obviously, you've experienced competitions with no spectators. Like, how would you say that you found it?
When you've raced against a crowd to go and race against no crowd, it's completely different. You've kind of got to hype yourself up for it and get yourself prepared. And if you can do that, you know you can do it wherever you go.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're that used to relying on a crowd, it's like, right, okay, I need to like really do something here. Whether that's you look across that person and say, you know what, I'm going to absolutely whoop your ass, then fair enough, do it. Like if that's what motivates you, then do that.
100%.
But you've just got to be completely honest with yourself and be like, I know there's no crowd and I know there's no one there to push us on, but at the end of the day, take what the podcast is called, believe and achieve. Like push yourself and go and like absolutely smash it out. Who knows what can happen? There's more than meets the eye at the end of the pool. So yeah.
I think that's such a great message. And if like anybody's listening to this podcast and still a swimmer and is like going to start approaching competitions with no like crowds and stuff on there, like that's a good insight for those like who haven't probably experienced a competition with no spectators. Like it's learning to handle yourself in them situations. If you are all right without having a crowd, or you think you're going to be all right, just don't expect anything really. Obviously, like a lot of us haven't competed for a long time now, and if you are starting to compete at competitions, don't put expectations on yourself. Like enjoy being back racing and competing, and just enjoy getting back into some sort of normality again. Like
I think it's just like when you dive in that pool, just kind of go, this is the reason why I'm doing it. We've had this amount of time out. You've missed what you love so damn much, and you've just got to turn around and be like, I'm grateful for being back competing. Yes, like a lot of the elites have done it, and it's kind of like given us an idea of like this is how it can run, and you've just not so much get yourself overhyped over it, but kind of like get your confidence with that and go, do you know what, I'm competing. That's all I can ask for. Don't set your expectations up here when you've not raced for like 18 months. Make sure you just give yourself a realistic target and go, do you know what, if I can get near my PB, perfect. If I can get near like a season's best, even better.
Even if you execute your race plan, that's a massive achievement. You know what I mean? Like, just enjoy being back, and the results will soon follow when you start to compete more and more and more. That's everything from me. Have you got anything else to add on?
No, that's everything from me. I would just say, like, for anyone that's getting back in the pool or getting back in the sport itself, or whether you're getting back in the gym or wherever you're going, like, just set yourself some like really good expectations of what you want to achieve from that. And I think, like, however long you've been out, wherever you've been, like from your sport or from fitness in general, you've just got to go with the flow and let your body just build itself back up. And I promise you now, like, I got back in the water, when was it? March time that I got back in, and I was like 5 weeks ahead of like our group. And like soon enough, like after, like now, I can feel myself getting better and better. So it's that patience is key, and you will get to where you would want to be with it.
100%. That's such a great message there. Thank you very much for listening. If you have tuned in to listen to us or watch us on YouTube, let us know in the comments if you have got any rituals, pre-race rituals, or
superstitions
that you have in a competition, whether that is swimming or if you do a different sport. Like, we would love to know. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. We will see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope that you enjoyed, and we are so excited to bring brand new content to this. So make sure you check out our socials to stay up to date of when we'll be posting next. Until the next one, take care, and remember, believe and achieve.